Hey, everybody! Welcome to the
Hello.
Drummers Education Connection deck. How are you guys today?
I see Bart doing the Chip Ritter.
I'm doing my best Chip Ritter. I'm doing my best Chip Ritter.
Let's
There
see
we go.
that.
I'm not half the man he is.
Oh my God. Welcome everybody. I'm here with two of my greatest friends in the world. Bart Robley. Bart, you're out on the road right now with Sam Morrison Band, correct?
I'm on tour right now as we speak.
Man, that's cool. Where are you?
We are in Buckeye, Arizona. I'm about probably about 3 hours from Chip, 3.5 hours, something like that.
Right
Hey
on.
man, you guys ought to get together, go have some pancakes and coffee.
You know what? We need to, man. We need to. I thought, well, you got to introduce Chip. There's Chip right there.
I was just ready to do that. And two guys from Arizona, the one and the only, the world's greatest, Chip Ritter.
Hi, guys.
Our hero. One of the most badass drummers in the world.
Watch out. He is.
Don't be surprised by that Santa look.
But hey, man, I wish I could see. I just got this scruff thing going on. Chip's got a real beard, man. That's it. We're talking about beard balm today.
Our brother Jeremy Steinkohler up in the Bay Area had a day off today too, so he'll be back with us next time, I'm sure. So we'll miss you today, Jeremy. So anyway, today we'd like to do a little tribute to Taylor Hawkins, one of the greatest, most influential drummers in rock and roll has left us, and he made such a huge impact on the drumming community. I'm just kind of not surprised, but the drumming community is just pouring its heart out. Social media, I think everyone is in disbelief, and it's just a real testimonial to the love and contribution that Taylor brought to us. So we thought we would have a little chat about him, and anybody out there who's watching, please, if you have any thoughts, any stories,
any
about
pictures.
Taylor, any pictures, right? Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Yep. Post them up on the deck site on Facebook. And then if you have any comments, we'd love to hear any experiences. And if you've ever met him, tell us about it. And so I got to see him live. Have you guys ever get to see the Foo Fighters live, or maybe out at
I didn't see him live, but I got to meet Taylor at NAMM.
Yep. Yeah, me too. Same thing. Same type of thing.
Yeah, he had a reputation of being just a very nice guy. Really, really nice chill, super down home. I think everybody could kind of relate to him. They look at him and he's just like this chill guy, surfer vibe, not pretentious at all. I mean, he's dressed like a surfer guy, sleeveless shirt, shorts, on stage all the time. Yeah, I was gonna wear that outfit today, just in tribute, to wear sleeveless and shorts, but it's too cold.
You didn't want to do the gun show, huh?
Yeah. Well,
I don't know that he surfed, but he grew. I was reading a little bit more about him this morning before we got on. I mean, I knew about his drumming and stuff like that, but I wasn't, and I knew he was from Texas, Fort Worth, I believe, is what I read. But he grew. His parents moved to Laguna, California, in the 70s, and he grew up in Laguna, so it's not surprising that he had that whole surfer vibe and was such a kind guy, because that's what that community down there is about. If you guys have ever been to Laguna, it's a very artistic, very right up against the ocean. Highway 133, I think it's Laguna Canyon, runs right down and dead ends into PCH. Beautiful place. And so
he definitely surfed.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
And he was a family man too, and I know that his son played drums, and they were all surfers too. The whole fit, like the sons.
They were okay. Yeah. Wow.
Is a surfer. So.
Well, I think the one thing that I would like to say, and I think I can speak for all three of us and for Jeremy on this is that our hearts and thoughts and prayers, you know, in the Drummers Education Connection really go out to, you know, Taylor's family, his children, and you know, to the Foo Fighters and their family. Yeah, because you know that's the one thing that I'm so fortunate to have been in the Sam Morrison band for 21 years, and we are like, you know, brothers. We're you know, we really are. We're very close, and I can't fathom going through what the guys in the Foo Fighters are going through. And, you know, I don't know that they'll ever see this or ever even hear of us, but our hearts and our thoughts and our prayers go out to them.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. You know, I think part of why Taylor was so lovable is just because he was so relatable too. He was just such a regular, kind of like a cool dude, but the passion was really, really evident. And so I think the, you know, the drum community has just been getting more and more close all the time. I don't know. It's a beautiful thing. We seem to be coming together more and more and more. It's such a tight knit club, man, women, boys, girls, everybody's drumming now, and everybody is just trying to support each other. And so that outpouring is really, really beautiful. And I think they know it. That there's a lot of love and support and prayers behind them and all that.
Right. Yeah. One of the things that I think that, you know, I want to throw out about Taylor that I really liked and watched his drumming and enjoyed watching him play was just that, his passion. When he sat down to play the drums, man, he literally, I always say that joke, you know, he beat them like they owed him money, but he really did. Yeah. He meant every note that he played. Yep. And one of the things that I really thought was cool about him too, you know, seeing all these pictures that are popping up on social media is, and I think that's kind of the Foo Fighters vibe, is just kind of being a little bit tongue in cheek and a little bit sarcastic with their trying to be funny. And so, there's certain things that I think you have to be a drummer to get these things. Yeah. But there was a picture of him playing a kit the other day, and and he was a Gretsch endorser. And you know what? I'm wearing my Gretsch shirt today.
Oh, there you go.
Because I'm a Gretsch guy as well. Anyway, he's playing this beautiful, beautiful Gretsch kit, right? I mean, there's $20,000 worth of drums sitting there on the stage, and it's got a white drum head, and you can tell where the Gretsch logo is. Somebody took a Sharpie, probably him or Dave Grohl, and where the Gretsch logo should be on the bass drum head, they wrote CB 700. And you got to be a drummer to get that, but I saw that and I just cracked up. I mean, it just shows such a wonderful sense of humor and such a wonderful, I mean, you know, wonderful, you know, again, a relatable thing, that he took what he did very serious, but maybe he didn't take himself serious. He was able to laugh at those things. Mm-hmm. And I think that's you know, that's something we all need to learn from, you know.
I think so. Yeah, there's so much humor. Like I've seen different photos of his kits, and on the bass drum, there's from time to time I've seen funny stuff written. It's just so, look, I'm not a rock star. I'm just a regular guy who's way into music and drumming, and, you know, none of that pompous I'm better than you stuff. And so the bass drum humor really, I thought, really brought it out, that he was, you know, just really down to earth.
Yeah, totally down to earth. When I met him at the NAMM show, I talked to him about a book I was writing, the first book I had. And I gave him a copy of it, and he said, "Yeah, man, cool." You know, and he talked about how finishing a project it feels good to have it done, and, you know, how did I feel about it and stuff. And he was just super nice and super down to earth.
I love that.
That's so cool, man. That's
Jim Royal said, "Good afternoon, gentlemen. So sad to hear about Taylor Hawkins." He said, "I saw the Foo Fighters and Chili Peppers live on the same bill about 7 years ago, and the energy on stage was palpable." He truly will be missed. Thank you, Jim.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thanks, Jim.
Jacob Sosa's chiming in. He said, I've never seen Taylor live, but he fell in love with his playing when he saw the Foo Fighters play on TV of the VH1 channel. They were paying tribute to The Who. He was 16, and seeing him play on Young Man Blues, I always air drummed to his playing when I looked up to him. Absolutely, Jacob. Thanks for chiming in.
Thanks, Jacob. Thank you so much. And one of the things that I really liked about his drum kit too, and I keep going back to the drum set, you know, being a geek. I was looking at some pictures, and he had his cymbals really high, you know, for that showman thing, and he reached up to his crash cymbals. But he always changed the kit around, and sometimes he had a really cool pink kit he had that I saw. He had a couple of Jelly Bean kits, you know, it looked like they toured with a couple of Jelly Bean kits, and those were never my favorite, but it's cool to see it out there, you know, just because of what it is. And the other thing that he employed on his drum set that I love, and I don't have any on my kit, but I love, he had a couple of concert toms, and it looked like he had like a 12-inch or a 13-inch up top, and then a 10 and an 8-inch concert tom, and nothing sounds like those. And I was watching one of his drum solos the other night, and he's just ripping it up, and you can hear those concert toms, such a distinct sound, very Phil Collins-esque.
Yes.
And the other thing that I think that I want to mention too, that we're talking about his drumming, but the guy was a hell of a singer. And I remember reading in Modern Drummer one time an interview with Dean Castronovo, and he said a singing drummer is worth their weight in gold. And I think that it is so important to honor that. And the Foo Fighters had two of the greatest drummers, man, Dave Grohl, Taylor Hawkins. Dave Grohl would get up and play drums, and Taylor Hawkins would get out and sing "We Are the Champions," "We Will Rock You," and do all these Queen songs, because he was a huge Queen fan and a huge Roger Taylor fan, and he could sell it. He could sing.
Yes.
I
watched. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I was just going to say, how many other drummers could take that drum stool behind Dave Grohl and not make you think, I wish Dave was playing?
Yes.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
I read a thing this morning too, and I thought this was really cool. I'd heard this in the past, but it's worth mentioning that he was a drummer for Alanis Morissette. He was a touring drummer on the Jagged Little Pill thing.
Yeah.
And on that record. And so she at the time was huge, you know.
Right.
Well, he got a chance to audition for the Foo Fighters. Their drummer and Dave Grohl butted heads, the original drummer, and forgive me, I forget his name, but they butted heads, and so he left the band. So Dave Grohl was looking for a drummer. Taylor Hawkins left, one of the biggest artists at the time, arguably, of that era.
Right.
And to join the Foo Fighters because he wanted to be a band player. He didn't want to play for an artist, just a single artist. He wanted to be in a band. He wanted that camaraderie, that family feeling, if you will. And that takes a lot of guts, man. I mean, to go from, okay, I'm in this huge, I'm riding this wave right now of a hit record and a tour, but I'm going to jump ship and I'm going to take a chance with this band over here, That took a lot of guts, man.
A lot of guts, a lot of faith that it was going to work out well.
Yeah.
Right.
Especially thinking, wow, I'm going to join a band with a lead singer is one of the greatest drummers in the world. Like, how intimidating could that be? But man, Dave Grohl, I just have to compliment him too, because it just seemed like this love between them and support. They were so encouraging and supportive of each other's talents, and that's how you get the job done. You just really encourage your band members, right? You just like, I've got the greatest drummer, I've got the greatest singer, and they were such mega talents. It's just amazing that they were able to work together so well.
Right.
His loss is definitely felt in the drum community. There's definitely a big shockwave went through everybody.
Yeah.
I was taken aback when I heard about it. I was like, oh no, you know what I mean? Oh no.
Yeah.
Where were you, Chip?
I was here. I was teaching lessons when I saw it on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were loading out, and I was actually pushing something up in the trailer, and I think it was Walt, our piano player. He goes, "Oh my God, dude, Taylor Hawkins died. And it was one of those things where when I heard it, it didn't compute. I was, the first thought was, oh, the same name of the guy as the drummer in the Foo Fighters. I didn't, there's no way Taylor Hawkins could have died. It's kind of like when Neil Peart died. It's that same thing where it's like, what? You don't. It doesn't work. Where did you hear it, Rick?
I was at home. It was, and I just scrolled on social media, trying to not scroll on social media late at night, but I did anyway. and saw that, and it just felt so surreal. It's just like, God, another hit to the world. And I think part of why it was such an impact for people is because a lot of people would say Foo Fighters are leading the way of playing rock and roll. Mm-hmm. It's not like there's a million rock bands out there anymore.
Right.
And they were leading the way and doing it really, really well. A 25-year career, which is, how did that happen? 25 years go by so quick.
Right.
So now
8 records, 8 studio albums, and 8 studio albums.
Yeah. So that's like a big void, a big void, So what were you going to say, Chip?
I was just going to say, how many of your drum students come in and want to play some Foo Fighters? Almost everyone.
Oh, dude. I teach Foo Fighters tunes all the time,
all
dude.
The time.
All
the time.
Yeah. A lot of them are working on the speed just to play Everlong, just to work on speed, hand speed. You know what I mean?
Dude, you just took the words out of my mouth.
Right.
I was just going to say, Everlong. Everybody's working on their hand speed, dude. I have to second that because I go through that too.
Yes. As you start looking at a chart too and really dissecting it,
right.
You start seeing the genius of those drum parts, how well put together, how well thought out they are, and the speed of his foot speed. Taylor had wicked right foot speed, man.
Yeah, he did, man. He did. I watched an interview, and I don't know, I think it was on the Sammy Hagar Road Rules show, and I just saw a little snippet of it the other night, and he was interviewing Dave Grohl and Taylor Hawkins, and he was talking to him about his normal stuff. And he was talking to him about how, his normal questions, if you watch his show, at all. And he was talking about how they record their albums, and everything that they do, they don't do digital, they do it analog. And they would record everything on analog rather than digital because, and Taylor just goes, hey man, it keeps you honest. And I liked that because you can't, there are certain things you can do in analog to manipulate time, but it keeps you honest with, you got to be on top of your game as a drummer. You have to be able to play with good time because you can't go in and fix it like you can in Pro Tools or in Logic. And also, if it did move and it was imperfect, they embrace that because that's what music is supposed to be. It's not, and now I'm on my soapbox a little bit. It's not supposed to be this computerized piece of perfection. It's supposed to have a human element to it. And they couldn't put a billion tracks to it. They had 24 tracks to work with, 48 if they put 2 24-track machines together. Right. And it kept them honest. And I really liked that answer. It was simple and poignant, but to the drumming community out there and young drummers coming up who will never record analog, it'll always be digital. Not that one is better than the other. It just, I thought that was really cool. I thought that was really hip.
Well, and I think that brought the albums sounding organic, or made the album sound organic, and the album sounded like a live band. And then when you go to see the live band, it sounds like the album. Mm-hmm. So there it is.
Yeah.
Winning formula.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that we also, we have to say that the drumming community, Rick, like you said, has gotten so close lately, and I think I think we've always been a tight knit group, but with the onset of COVID and podcasts and shows like ours, there's so many great drum shows and great drum podcasts out there. And with those, we're all supporting each other. I mean, think about how many great drummers we've had on here. We're all supporting each other. We've all gotten real tight.
Yeah.
And we've lost a lot of people recently. You know, we've lost Taylor Hawkins, obviously, and we've lost the great Charlie Watts, Neil Peart. So many amazing, influential drummers.
Yeah, when I heard the news that Neil Peart died, I fell to my knees, man. It crushed me.
Yeah.
It crushed me, man. I came up on that, you know what I mean? When my friend Scott Sheldon, we were in Boy Scouts, and he found out that I was a drummer, and he said, "Okay, I want you to check this out." So he put the Rush 2112 cassette in a tape player, and we were laying there under the stars looking at the stars, and I remember hearing the drums just do this huge solo. You know, I was like, I can't believe he's allowed to do that. Like, I didn't even know that was possible. Like, what an amazing thing. So, you know, yeah, Neil Peart losing has crushed me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. And we lost Vinnie Paul of Pantera.
Yeah.
Nick Menza of Megadeth, man. That was
was a lot.
A monster drummer. And Sandy Nielsen. If you don't know Sandy Nielsen, look him up, man. He ruled the 60s on the drums, all those surf instrumental songs.
Cassette tape, Let There Be Drums.
Yep.
Wow, really? No kidding.
Exactly.
I remember you said your Neil Peart story, Chip. When I was in junior high school, I was in a reading class in school, and our class we had those old school cassette players and a headphone box, and we were all reading along to it. We were reading Huckleberry Finn. Okay. So there's a kismet to this. Right? We were reading Huckleberry Finn, but we were listening to it on cassette, right? And it was being read to us. My buddy, he looks around, the teacher isn't looking, he stops the tape and he takes it out and he put in moving pictures. And so we're reading Huckleberry Finn and he plays Tom Sawyer, right? And the first time I heard Tom Sawyer, I was like, and I'd heard 2112 and stuff, and I did the same thing. They played Tom Sawyer, and they get to that center part where the drum solo is. Like, you can't do that. Nobody can play that. And then Charlie Watts. I mean, come on, who's better at playing rock and roll than Charlie Watts? So these losses are big and they're deep, and I'm not surprised that there's so many drummers out there that are so, feeling that sense of loss. And when somebody's that famous of an artist, I think you have a sense of almost knowing the person. Even if you don't know them, you feel like you do because you're so connected with their art,
Yes. Yeah, you can relate to what they do because we play. I was reading in a Modern Drummer article, advice. They asked Taylor advice to younger drummers.
Mm-hmm.
And his advice was, get in a band. Get out there and get on stage as soon as you can, and get going with an original band and get going with a cover band as well. And that way you can really, really understand how songs are put together because you've played so many covers. So Taylor even had, his side band, one of his side bands was a cover band.
Yeah.
Too. So he's coming to the table really authentic about all of the players of the past. And, he was very, very highly influenced by all the great classic rock drummers. And, and you could hear that in his playing. It just, and then you could see when he's live, it's like, this is not this guy's first gig. I mean, he has gigged and gigged and gigged and gigged. And so I think that's one of the best ways to pay tribute to all of these players is to get out there and carry the torch of music, get out there. And I mean, it's great at making videos and posting videos of you playing fast and posting all of that. But I think the art needs live music. And I just would love to encourage every drummer out there to start playing more and really work it out, and the world needs entertainment. And I think that's part of why this was a little bit of a shocker too. We're just society is just going through all of this stuff. And then we lose one of our greatest drummers. So
I agree with that, man. And you go to this, you've got to be out there and you have to be playing live. You just have to. And I agree with the other thing that you said, Rick, where you said that, there's not a lot of rock bands right now. There just isn't.
Yeah.
It's hard for a band to break in because there's, no record labels, but it's also it's also up to the artist now. The artist definitely has more control of their own stuff. But if you're going to create art, that's great. That's fantastic. You put it out there and you see if people like it, but you have to get out there and perform it. You have to get out there and play it. You have to do that. And I think that is great advice that he gave. I think that was the name of his cover band was Taylor Hawkins and the Coattail Riders. Was that it? Yeah, and I mean, what a fantastic idea, and I think the cool thing about that is you go and you see somebody like him. He'd be playing not even an arena; they played these stadiums, 70, 80,000 people.
Yeah,
and he'd get off tour, and he would go with his cover band and go play down, in Huntington Beach at some little bar. I mean, that just shows his love for the music and love for the art form. And that's very encouraging. Get out there and do it. Get in a band. Know what it means to be in a band. Know what it means to be on the road and staying in here, and what it means to go do the shows and lug the gear and all that stuff. That's fantastic advice.
That's right. And that's how to pay tribute to him the very best way, by being inspired with him and get out there and do it.
Right.
That's also healing for you too. That's how we're going to heal from all of this loss. And then really they're alive. They're alive, and we get inspired by their playing. I got that riff or that concept the way Taylor Hawkins played, bring that in your drumming. That's a little piece of him that's still there.
Yeah, and you can hear Roger Taylor and him,
right,
big time. You listen to his drumming, and then you listen to Queen. You can tell who a drummer listens to. You really can. With certain drummers, you can hear them and go, my God, that guy must have listened to Keith Moon his whole life growing up, or oh my God, that's totally Buddy Rich or Louis Bellson, or my God, it sounds like Bonham up there playing. People sound like, exactly. They do. And that's what he did. I also think it's important to mention too that being in a band and touring, and you learn, I think, what not to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of things that we learn the hard way sometimes. What not to do.
What not to do. And we have to be realistic that it's not an easy career. It's a super, super challenging career. It's disruptive to, being at home. It's disruptive to sleep. It takes a lot of energy. People are trying to put it all together. I mean, it looks all glamorous to us audience, but man, it's an involved thing. It's not all fun and games, even though it looks like a blast up there on stage.
Well, the 90 minutes
not on the stage, right?
Right. The 90 minutes that you're on the stage, or the 2 hours that you're on the stage, it's taken a lifetime to get there, no matter how old you are. And let's say one show, just one show in a club. I'm not talking a stadium, a Normo Dome show where you have a road crew, and I'm talking a club gig. To go play a club with a band. And let's take learning the songs and the practice and stuff out of the equation. Just to do that one show, the amount of work that it takes to get set up and to do it, and the energy that it takes to do it, it's tough. And you are putting yourself out there. You're putting yourself out there physically and emotionally. And if you're playing, original tunes as an artist, you don't know that people are going to like your songs or hate your songs. and you're putting yourself out there, and it can sometimes it can lead to depression. It can lead to negative things. It's, like you said, Rick, it's not just all the glamour stuff. It can lead to depression and stuff,
But
what do you guys
go ahead, Chip.
I was just going to ask you, what were you guys' favorite Foo Fighters songs?
Oh, for sure, Everlong, You're My Hero. There's so many, dude. There's
Pretender.
The Pretender.
Pretender's a great one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So many. Play it, Rick. Go for it, dude. All I got's a pen.
What's the kind of like a Motown influence thing, right?
Jacob said mine is The Best of You.
The Best of You. There you go. Right.
Yeah. You know, one thing I love about Taylor too is that left foot. Man, that left foot was keeping time. He tapped that left foot and it's high up in the air. And, of course, I teach all my students that. And, that's your timekeeper. That's your extra, we've got all these different internal, you got your hearing it, singing it. But man, that physical aspect of that left foot tapping away.
Yeah, man. That's a Phil Collins thing too.
Yeah. I love watching Chad Smith, the Chili Peppers. His left foot is like a clock, but I see a lot of players, they're tapping quarter notes. Okay. I noticed Taylor, man, he's tapping eighth notes with his left foot.
That's I love that. That's and it creates such a different, it always creates such a different feel when you tap eighth notes. You listen to a lot of that. Bonham did that a lot. That's probably, and that's probably a Bonham thing that he picked up, or who knows where he got it. I mean, but that's all speculation. But man, he had that strong left foot. And your left foot, that's the pulse. That's the pulse of the band. The whole band's going to listen to your left foot, and that's what keeps it trucking along, man. Is your left foot, and he had it, man. He had it in spades. That was fantastic.
Yep. And that little thing that I was just playing, the Pretender thing, that's a Motown influenced feel. So that he was listening to that stuff, and that he I know classic rock was his thing, but where did classic rock get influenced? So I'm sure he was all over all of that stuff.
Oh yeah. And he had to, if you're a classic rock fan, you can't listen to classic rock and be influenced by classic rock and not be influenced by jazz, even if just a little bit. I'm trying to say, because that all comes from there. And depending on how deep it went in his influences, you listen to way back into the really early years of classic rock and roll with Elvis Presley and Jerry Lee Lewis and Johnny Cash and all those guys. I mean, DJ Fontana, man, you listen to that stuff. You listen to Jailhouse Rock and stuff, man, that's jazz, man. That's because that's what was before rock and roll. So that he was influenced by some of the jazz drummers and stuff like that of yesteryear.
Yeah, Bart, no doubt. So, guys, how do you guys deal with loss? I know it's a big question. I know, but
Chip looked up the 5 stages of grieving a minute ago. What were they, Chip? Do you still have it there?
Well, first is denial, second is anger, third is bargaining, fourth is depression, and then finally acceptance.
Yeah.
Those are the 5 stages of grief that are often talked about in the medical health field or the mental health field. Yeah. And that's pretty much what I went through when I found out Taylor Hawkins died. I was like, no, la 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 la, I'm not listening to you.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
And I'm still kind of there. I'm a little angry too. I'm getting angry. I'm mad that he's gone so young. He's 50 years old. he had so many more places to play, had so many more shows to do, so many more tours to play. You know what I mean? And he's gone way too soon.
Yeah, he really is. I think I agree. I did the same thing. Like I said, when Walt told me, he goes, Taylor Hawkins died. The first thing that came to mind, it was like there's another Taylor Hawkins. It just didn't register. Yeah, it couldn't have been him. There must have been some other dude named Taylor Hawkins. And then you kind of realize what it is, and yeah, it does. It gets you angry because, yeah, what a talented guy, what a beloved guy, and he's gone. I mean, and it's just it just sucks, man. It really does. It's a drag, and I think the best way to grieve and everybody's different, but for me, it's to talk about it, to talk about your feelings and your emotions with it.
Yeah, to be open and honest and not let it be bottled inside, just to be open. That's I think we're seeing so much of an outpouring as people are getting it out. They're like, oh no, you know what I mean? Gone too soon. What a loss. It is a huge loss.
That's right.
I think too many people, that sounded judgmental. I shouldn't say it this way. I think some people deal with loss in a way where they internalize and they don't get it out. And my opinion, I don't think that's healthy. I think that talking about it and remembering, oh, I saw the Foo Fighters, they were great, and I never met him, but I felt so close. Again, I felt so close to him because of his art and because of his music. I think that's a natural reaction that people have to artists, and to talk about what you're feeling because you lost your favorite drummer, or you're never going to be able to see your favorite band again. I can't imagine, this is just speculation and opinion, with a band like the Foo Fighters and a talent as big as Taylor. I can't imagine them, okay, we're going to get a new drummer and keep going on. They might, so you have that thing, well, gosh, I never got to see the Foo Fighters with Taylor Hawkins, so now I'm going to go see him. Who knows? That's all speculation of what may or may not happen. But I think talking about it, getting it out, and dealing with it that way is a healthy way, And Rick, like you said, hey, why can't I say his name? Jared from Drumeo. He put a video up of him he didn't play the whole song, but it was like a 3 or 4 minute video of him just playing like snidbits of Foo Fighters songs and just shredding and playing all these Taylor Hawkins parts. I think as drummers, what a better way to do it. What a better way to do it. Sit down and play a bunch of Foo Fighters tunes.
Yes. Yeah.
Play some Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
There
what about you, Rick?
Well, when we thought about doing this episode, it seemed like we had to do it. And there was that, oh my God, are we imposter syndrome? Are we qualified to talk about this?
Yeah.
We didn't know the guy. How could we be in his shoes? And we want to pay respect to his family, and to his fans.
Yeah.
And then I think we all just agreed it's healing to talk about him, and then maybe give a platform to some other people to talk about him. And so that's why we're here. That's why we're doing this. And I thought, oh, this could be a heavy episode. It could be, but we want to pay tribute to him. But I think it's important and valuable to talk about all this stuff. So I think you can't bottle up pain. And I think maybe that's why this Taylor thing is poignant for so many, because we're still dealing with Ukraine and COVID and Neil Peart and Charlie Watts and all of that. And so I think it's really important to have healthy outlets. So thank God we have drums to do that, but we've got to let out our emotions. You can't bottle it up. So, when my brother died in 2016, man, I had to cry. I let the crying out, and I knew that it had to happen. This morning I watched a video of Taylor singing. I think it was the second to last show, but they were doing a Queen cover where Grohl got on the drums and Taylor sang "Somebody to Love." He channeled Freddie Mercury, man.
Yeah.
And that is like one of the most beautiful, passionate songs ever. And it really, I mean, that put a little tear in my eye, you know, and I'm just so glad I let myself be touched by that, and let it be a real moment. And I felt better.
Yeah.
So
I know, you know, having dealt with the loss of both of my parents and my mother-in-law, I went through that stage too, where you just talk and you remember. And I remember, you know, being on the road with the band right after my father died, and we were playing in Mesquite, Nevada. And so we drove past, we were driving through Vegas on the way to the gig, and we drove past the drag strip. And me and my dad, we love drag racing, top fuel drag racing. My uncle, when I was a kid growing up, drove a race car. We talked about that with Mike Dorfman. And so I love drag racing. And so we drove past the Vegas strip. That's what they call the drag strip out there. And I just remember going by there, and the guys in the band, like, oh yeah, me and my dad used to go out there all the time. And I told the story one time where we ran into Kathy Rich and Greg Potter out there and talked to them for a little bit, and just remembering those memories. And it was healing, and it was cathartic. And I think that's what, you know, the fans of Taylor Hawkins will do. And if you look through history, when an artist dies, look at Elvis Presley when he died, look at John Lennon when he died, same thing, you know. If people grieve the loss of their an artist that they admired, you know. So talking
so
about
Bart it. So you like watching guys in dresses racing? Oh wait, you're talking race cars. Oh, dragsters. Oh, okay, cool.
Come on, that deserves a rim shot.
Humor helps, even if it's the worst humor. Even if it's a false flat, terrible.
I want to break in real quick and say, David Betts. Hello to David Betts from the UK. Thanks for watching.
David.
Thank you, David.
Thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah.
We're talking about Hawkins and the loss that we're feeling right now. You know, he wrote many drummers, and many drummers are grieving the loss right now.
Yes.
If you guys have, David, any memories or anything you want to share with us, or thoughts about Taylor, we would love to hear it. We really would. You know, chime in down below. That would be fantastic.
You know, one of my buddies, our colleague Mindy Wright out in Nashville. She's a fellow Sabian artist.
Oh, okay.
She's played with Babe Buell, and she's a good buddy of mine. She's just look up Mindy Wright. Hello, Mindy. Shout out to you. I saw she made a post where she went to one of Taylor's side band. I think it's Chevy Metal, I think is the name of his.
Chevy Metal.
Of his cover band, you know, and so she approached him, and I might have the story wrong. It was just from a post that she made, and she started asking him about one of the tracks that he did, talking about I forgot what song it was. And Taylor was just so down to earth and cool. He said, you probably play it better than me.
Yeah.
You know, and just, you know, like that's just the coolest. You know, he's encouraging and picking up younger, you know, newer players too.
Super humble.
That's beautiful. Yeah, super humble. Yeah.
I think the greats are, you know, all the greats are always that way. You know, they just are. You know, they take what they do serious, but lifting other people up is something that is a common thread, I think. I really do.
That's it.
So everybody who's grieving Taylor Hawkins needs to get back on the drums and start playing and start listening to Foo Fighters, and just remember the best parts of the whole situation was the music and the legacy that he left us, you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what it reminds me of? So everybody's listening to Foo Fighters now, probably more than ever. and I'm sure they're getting all kinds of new fans.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, even drummers, I'm sure there's a lot of drummers who are suddenly like going to get into Taylor Hawkins now.
Right.
You know, and so I just think, man, open up your mind right now and just really try to listen to everything that's out there and embrace it.
That's like a silver lining, if you think about it. This whole situation is how many people are now going to be introduced to Taylor Hawkins that didn't know about him, that'll now figure out, like, well, why is so many people so upset? And then they realize, wow, what a talent this guy was, you know?
Yes.
They get to realize what his drum parts were, and they get to experience the music.
Yeah.
Right.
So we don't want any just posthumous fans. There's the word for the day.
I was going to say, there's a big vocabulary word. I'm going to write that one down. Look it up later. What's that mean?
Yeah. Yeah, just look it up. It's you know, after they've.
I know. I know. What
Oh, you know. Yeah. You know. Okay. All right. Sorry.
It's early. Hey, what do we say?
That word too often.
Well, that was my attempt at bad humor today. Okay, so I didn't even get a rim shot for that. Come on, man, give me a rim shot.
Let me give you the more fun sound.
Okay. Hey man, live TV. All I heard was a tap. I heard a tap on the rubber. That's all I heard.
You didn't hear the whap, 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 whap?
Nope.
Didn't hear it.
Oh, wow.
Just hearing you hitting a piece of rubber. But that was a great sounding piece of rubber. Well, that was fantastic.
In my headphones, so it's going whoop, 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 whoop.
Well, I'll pretend that I heard it.
Wow.
Hey, one of the things, guys, too, that we talked about before we came on to the show here, and it's a touchy subject, but all three of us did agree to touch on this. And I'd mentioned a bit ago about being in a band and being on the road, and the dark sides of it, the bad sides of it, the what not to do. And I mentioned that, some people, a lot of artists struggle with depression, and it's something that's rampant in the arts, and you hear it all the time. And I don't want to come across as preachy, or none of us do, or anything like that. We're not pointing a finger or being judgmental. All we're going to say is, I guess if you learn something from this, again, as touchy as the situation is, if you're struggling with depression or you're struggling with an addiction, there's help out there if you want it, and you can get yourself cleaned up, and there is a lot of avenues and a lot of people that will be incredibly willing to help you. And just, like we'd mentioned before, the glamorous side is what we see on stage, and a lot of people want that part of it, but what goes on other than that sometimes is not so glamorous, and there's no reason to be in a band, and you have to get off stage and drink a bottle of Jack Daniels or do drugs or something like that. And I'll just leave it at that, and the two of you guys can chime in if you want, but if you need help and you want help, it's there. And stay away from the bad stuff. Enjoy the drumming, enjoy the good stuff, enjoy the music, enjoy the camaraderie with your brothers and sisters. Enjoy creating the art, enjoy the music, and be safe. Be safe. You don't need to do the bad stuff.
Yeah, don't isolate.
Yeah.
Don't isolate.
What's that?
Don't isolate. Don't isolate with your own feelings, especially when you're dealing with grief and loss and depression. The best thing to do is to reach out and find a trusted friend that you can talk to, that you can explain those feelings to, and so you can get it out and process it in a healthy way, rather than internalizing it and hiding from the world and isolating. It's the best thing to do is, like David Betts says, check in with your buddies often.
Yeah.
Yes. That's very well said, both of you.
David Betts, Chip, he's the one that started the prayer snare Facebook page, correct? So David, yeah. I thank you for that. And for those of you who don't know, you can find it on Facebook. It's a Facebook page called the Prayer Snare page. And what we do, I'm a member of it. And we write names of people who are family, friends, loved ones, and maybe sometimes not loved ones and people we don't like. And we write their name on our snare drum and we pray for them. And not getting preachy and telling people what to believe, but I don't care if you're a Christian or a Jewish person or a Buddhist, or you just believe in putting good vibes out there. That's what we do. We write names of people on our snare drum head, and as we're playing, we're doing a show, we think of those people and put good vibes out and good intentions. Little things like that, just the smallest thing like that, can be helpful if you're in a bad place. And Chip was the one that turned me on to that. Chip was the one that turned me on to that. Yeah.
Well, I play at church on Sunday and Wednesdays, and during services I have a drum head that I wrote, and I got that idea from April Samuels from Breast Cancer Can Stick It. We should have her on the show.
Oh, we should, yeah.
Yeah, we should.
But April has a snare, and she wrote some names and prayer warriors, the names of her friends on there that were going through cancer and suffering and battling, and she would write their names on there, and while she'd play, she would pray for them and say a little prayer for them. And I thought that was so powerful, so I started doing it, and I started making a prayer snare. Now my snare, I'm on my third prayer snare, and my head is just covered with people that I send love and light to while I'm in service.
That's fantastic.
That's beautiful, Chip. That's beautiful, Chip.
I have my prayer snare up on the kit right now while we're on tour. It's my side snare. It's a beautiful wood-rimmed Ludwig Black Beauty, and I've got a bunch of names on there as well. I got both your guys' names, and Jeremy if he's watching. And last night, the guy that's running sound for us on this tour, he's going through some stuff with his fiance with some medical issues, and I said, hey buddy, come up and here, write your name and her name on there. And I don't care what you believe, just knowing that somebody is thinking about you and caring about you and putting good intentions out, that's deep, you know.
Just the fact that you're thinking of somebody other than yourself is healthy for you. Yep. It's healthy for me to be thinking of somebody other than myself in a positive way. It's always a good thing. It can never bring bad results.
Yes. Right. I feel that we're all connected, and good vibes are good vibes, and it's just going to help elevate us all together.
Right on.
What's your about the ship, Chip? You have a saying about the water raises and it lifts all the ships?
Yeah, something like that.
Yep.
I actually, my saying was no sharp objects in the life raft. That's my saying.
Yeah, but Chip, you're the guy that also is always that says of like you're a pirate and you're out there, or you're fighting a pirate. Yeah.
Chip, yeah.
Say that again.
Well, we were talking about having projects and getting scared and being afraid with imposter syndrome and going through writing a book and that process of creating. And I always say, well, what's a good pirate adventure without a sea monster?
That's right. Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah. I love that.
You got to have some kind of adventure, some kind of fear, or it's not an adventure.
That's right,
true.
Man. Luke Skywalker wouldn't be Luke Skywalker without Darth Vader, man.
There you go.
That's right.
And Darth Vader's a scary dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. Where would Captain Kirk be without Klingons to fight?
You're right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So anyway, I think we'll like I said, I don't want to get. That's a touchy subject, so we'll just leave it at that. But Taylor Hawkins, man, what a great drummer. What a huge loss it is. And on a positive note, I think what an amazing amount of art that he left behind. And he will live on forever through that art. And as drummers and as drum educators and drum teachers, I think it's our responsibility to pass on, to carry on that art, to let people know who Taylor Hawkins was, who Buddy Rich was, who Charlie Watts was, who Neil Peart was, who Louis Bellson, DJ Fontana, Joe Morello. We can go on forever, and he's up there with the greats, and to keep that alive. I think that's our duty to do that. And so in our small way here on our little Dog on Pony show, as somber as it is today, that's what we're trying to do.
And our condolences to his family and the Foo Fighters and everybody that's been affected.
Yeah, very much so.
Yes. Yes. And whatever decision down the road the Foo Fighters make, that's their decision on how they want to proceed.
Totally.
You have to respect whatever they're going to do.
I personally hope they proceed. I really do.
I do too.
My take on it is, I really would love to hear that they proceed into the future with new music. And I think, you know what I mean, that's something they're going to have to absolutely want to sit down and discuss. But right now we're just kind of remembering Taylor and his legacy.
Yeah.
Some of the greatest art that is created through dark places. You know, a lot of records, a lot of art is created from a very dark place because somebody or something, you know, they went through something deep in their life. And it may have been something that was really negative. So I can only imagine that's going to be a cathartic thing for the Foo Fighters and for Dave Grohl and for the songwriters in that camp. To it'd be cathartic for them. So there would, you know, hopefully be some silver lining at that, you know, with this from, you know, come from that. And so. Yes.
My wife and I are reading a book right now called Whole Brain Living by an author named Jill Bolte Taylor. She was on TED Talks. You could check her out on TED Talks. She's like a brain scientist. And she talks about there's, you know, our left side of the brain and our right side of the brain. And there's actually 4 quadrants. There's 4 characters that she outlines in this book. You know,
what's her name again? I'm sorry.
Jill Bolte Taylor, and the book is called Whole Brain Living.
Whole Brain Living.
And she talks about, you know, the left side character 1 is that analytical side. That character 2 is the second quadrant. That's sort of like that. That's that negative speak in our that we always hear. That's the fear-based. Character 3 is that more playful. That's the more artistic. And character 4 is more that Zen. Everything's going to be all right. And she outlines all 4 of these quadrants and how to work with them. And she does a thing called the brain huddle, where you validate each one of those 4 characters that we all have and validate them and kind of try to achieve a balance. And I found that book very, very helpful. And so I just like to recommend that. And
it's interesting. I'm going to check that out.
Yeah, I am too. I wrote it down.
Yeah, it's a cool book.
See how the deck helps each other?
Yeah.
That's what we're here for.
I just learned this and learned something that's going to be valuable and an asset to my life because I was here. So thank you very much, Rick.
You're welcome, Chip. And it's a great thing that we're anointed with this technology that we can that we can do the show. Yeah.
You got it.
Dang. Hey, you know what? You beat Chip, and I think last week Jeremy beat Chip.
Yeah,
because that's been Chip's thing. So
I love it. I'm supportive of it. Right
on,
guys. Thank you so much.
All right. I think next week we've got Jacob Souza coming on.
Yes, Jacob's going to be on next week.
We appreciate Jacob's support with the deck so much. So it's going to be awesome to hear his awesome story.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Cannot wait.
All right,
That's
everybody, thank
fun.
you for tuning in. We hope this was really, really helpful for you. And we just appreciate, and we love you all. And we're all in this together. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for watching and checking us out. We really appreciate it.
Jacob Sosa, David Betts, Jim Royal. Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
thank you, guys.
We're all very, very lucky to have you guys, your friendship and support. So peace and love to you all.
Yes, sir.
Bye-bye,
We'll see you guys
everybody.
next week. Bye-bye. Have a great week.